He's got glue on his hands and a spark in his brain. Tiny cars, tiny jets, tiny military planes. From tanks to trains to rockets that soar, he built it up and then built some more. It's Max's motto, kids and hobby dreams. Max's motto, he'll been big in miniature scenes. Woo! He said, so anyway, the thing is that he's 3 stories deep in high school band. You ask him how his weekend went, he's explaining ancient Roman ceiling fans. One sip of coffee, suddenly we're ranking every kind of cheese. We just wanted movie times, now we're somewhere in the 90s on TV. Captain Tangent, off again, started with the weather, now we're talking about space pen. Saturday night, I'm in my chair, tiny wing in my tweezers, glue on my hair. Instruction sheet reads like ancient runes. Step 4 was easy, I skipped 1 through 2. Decals folding like origami, fingerprint right on the cockpit canopy. Masking tape peeled, half the paint, prototype weathering. That's what I'll say. I build planes, cars, tanks, and tiny people. Got a runway on my bookshelf steeple. Fuselage stuck to the cat's new tail, but I swear this time this kit won't fail. I'm covered in paint, but my wallet's fine. Cheaper than dating and cheaper than wine, so I'll stay home sniffing glue all night. These little plastic disasters are my big delight. Airbrush gods, they laugh at me. Orange peel finish on a new RV. Gloss coat puddles, matte coat shines. Silvering decals like frosted lines. One wheel short, the carpet ate it. Spruce shop somewhere, I'll just create it. Landing gear strong on the port side only, so my jet displays like it's feeling lonely. I build ships, trucks, tanks, and tiny heroes. Bank account hovers just above zero, but compare that tab to a fancy bar where they charge $10 for a glass in a jar. I'm covered in dust, but my mood's alright. Cheaper than dating and cheaper than nights of waiting in lines for a lukewarm drink. I'd rather lose one more photo etched part down the kitchen sink. Storage crisis, shelf twos bowed. Closet's just a secret hangar row. Bedside table, that's the car show stand. Bathroom counter is a desert sand. Guests come over, yeah, once a year. Ask how many little dudes you got in here. I smile wide, say just a few. They trip over Normandy in the hallway too. That one tank's missing half a track. This pilot's arm is on backward jack. But step away, squint your eyes. Boom, instant masterpiece surprise. I build jets, jeeps, dragons, and detectives. Every free surface has got objectives. Display case packed like a subway train. One more model, I'll find a way. Might skip the steakhouse, skip the date. Skip that cocktail, skip that wait. Crunch the numbers, do the math. This hobby still beats an awkward dinner and a split check aftermath. My buddy said, go out, meet someone new. Dress real sharp, buy him dinner too. I priced one night of romance and charm. That's 3 big bombers and a farm. He came home broke with a mild regret. I dry fit a battleship, came out ahead. He bought cologne, I bought sprue cutters. We're both inhaling fumes, just different flavors. So raise your knife to the crooked seams, those sanding sticks and those half-dried beams. Raise your brush to the paint that runs. We're saving cash while we ruin our foes. I build trains, bikes, castles, and critters. All my exes think I'm bitter, but I'm just broke in a smarter way. Buying tiny wheels instead of Chardonnay. I'm spotted with glue, but my heart's in sight. Cheaper than dating and cheaper at night than trying to charm some stranger's heart. I'll romance this 148 kit and call it art. I got a fleet on the fridge crooked canopy over therapy. So if you ask why I stay indoors with paint on my face and glue on the floor, I'll just smile, point to the shelf in shame, say I could have blown it all on love. Instead I built a plane. I light a candle to the spruce tree, lay out tweezers like a shrine, whisper, please be kind tonight, then drop apart at the worst time. It vanishes into the carpet, dimension shift beneath my knees. Somewhere tiny thunders rumbling in a cloud of plastic shavings and disbelief. Of modeling live up in the rafters laughing. Every time my finger sticks, they demand another offering. Almighty ones, have mercy please, I chant in gluey misery. They sip my tears like gasoline. The cruel, cruel gods of modeling. I check the fit, it's perfect, flawless, dry run dream, a perfect seam. I blink once at a drop of glue, now it gaps like a canyon in a bad dream. Decals curl like ancient scrolls, silvering like haunted glass. They wait until it's straight and centered, then slide off sideways just to watch me crash.
Intro is off. And hello everybody, and welcome to another scintillating episode of the Max's Models live stream. You guys let me know real quick if you can hear us okay. 1 2 3 4 5. Steve, a quick voice check.
1 2 3 1 2 3.
And Ken may or may not join us. I sent him the link. He may still be up in Atlanta, so he may be on the road or something. And I see everybody talking about the time of the sim. Yes, I used to fly with a yoke in the 1900 and in the CRJ and in the Embraer, although they had the ram's horn. And yes, flying the Boeing after a couple of years of flying the Airbus was weird. I'd never flown a Boeing, and there were a whole bunch of stuff that went along the side of that. I was wondering why I was having so much trouble staying on course. And it's an old 200 with round dials. I haven't flown round dials in 25 years, which isn't a problem, but I was always trained, keep that little airplane tucked in the flight director, and I'm doing that, but we're not tracking the localizer. And I realized the command bars, which is what you're trying to follow, were on the heading bug, and the altitude was on the command bars also. So my pitch was good if I stayed in the command bars, but it was just following wherever the heading bug was set. It wasn't tracking the course, the localizer, the radio beam course into the runway. And once I figured, let's do that again. And once I figured that out, okay, and now I got it and did a halfway decent approach. Although the instructor was saying you fly this thing with the rudder. You don't use the yoke a lot, use the rudder. Boy, it had a heavy rudder. And it was I was not used to that. Because the Airbus is the exact opposite. Airbus, you almost exclusively fly with the stick. You don't use the rudder unless you lose an engine.
Well, so now you know why so many of them wind up in the field.
But also you're talking about a 1960s designed airplane versus a 1980s designed airplane. I mean, it was 20 years of technology leap between them. But anyway, so before I get started, guys, one thing I promised David Orr, I believe it was, I would mention was that I know a lot of you guys watch Rex over at Rex's Hangar, and he just did a thing on the Sea Vixen, that bizarre British jet they had in the Royal Navy, in the Fleet Air Arm. And apparently he's I got his video on it linked in the description. He has he's trying to push a charity that is, they have one Sea Vixen that used to be on an old trailer, and I had the wings and tail cut off. They would take it around so people could see it and sit in it, a little touch of the experienced people of you know what aviation used to be like in the Royal Navy. Well, the trailer got old and fell apart, wasn't roadworthy, so they need about, I think it was 14 or 18,000 to make a new trailer so they can put it back on the road and refurbish this thing. And he's taking, you know, like people can send in $5 or whatever. He's got their address on his website. But David asked me if I would mention that, and I thought, well, that's a worthwhile charity. You know, it's not, they're not asking for a lot. So if you guys want to go watch that video and want to donate, that'd be grand. Yeah, the 737-200s. I remember the first kit of that I saw was the old Aurora kit, and that was the first time. And you know, this is kind of one of the things about models. Most of us don't get a chance to see a lot of this stuff for real. Our first real experience with a lot of things is when we see it in model box art. And I think it was that United Airlines 7.3 on the nighttime box art for Aurora, if I remember correctly. By the way, you know, those kits are getting like $300 now. That's absurd. I think Eric just covered one recently, but
what were they like 79.99 for their new?
Oh, I couldn't get it. It was $2.
$2.
No, it's a big kit. It's like 1/72 scale. No, it is. It's like that big one. It is really good sized. But to make a great desktop model. But as a kid, and mind you, we're talking probably 1968, so the plane had been around just a couple of years. I looked at it, and the first thing I thought was, it's just a 707 with 2 engines, which is exactly what it was. Well, not exactly, but they used the 707 cockpit and fuselage. They put different wings on it and everything. And the 7.3, when I saw it, I thought that's like cheating. You know, at least McDonnell Douglas designed a whole new airplane with the DC-9. And but I mean, you know, why reinvent the wheel? Both of them have their advantages. The 7.3s, they didn't know it at the time, because no one can see 50 years ahead. But by putting the 737 the way they built it, and I think you guys will understand where I'm going with this. This is quasi tongue-in-cheek. They set into motion a series of events that would wind up almost ruining Boeing 50 years later. Because, you know, the mishaps with the 737 MAX, well, that is a direct result of them trying to keep the 737 a common type rating, which they should never have tried to do with that airplane. Because, yeah, with the 737-200, with those little JT8D engines, little stovepipes, it can sit close to the ground. Makes it easy for the mechanics to work on it. Maybe get the occasional flight damage, but they didn't have too much trouble with it. But then with the 3 and the 400s, they had to put those big fans on them. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, you could do that on a DC-9 or an MD-80 because the engines are way off the ground back on the tail. You can put as big motors as you want and keep stretching it too. And you couldn't do that with a 7.3. So, and I can't, and Steve, I know you've flown on a lot of 300s and 400s probably, and 500s. And you might remember they had sort of a triangular intake, that flat bottom. They used a Cray supercomputer back when that was a thing. For those who remember Cray supercomputers, they used a Cray supercomputer to do the calculations to make that lip because they couldn't put a round inlet on there because it would scrape the ground.
Would it touch the ground?
And there was a lot more work, but they realized this design has a limitation. Okay, that's no sin to 300, 400, 500, great airplanes. By the way, 200, 300, 400, 500. 500 went back to the small fuselage. But Boeing didn't know when to say, you know what? If we want to make a bigger airplane, we're just going to have to use a different design.
A bigger airplane.
Well, no, we want that common type because we got to compete with Airbus. Well, Airbus had the good sense to jack their airplanes up high enough that they could, because they were always planning to make long ones. And that's what led to the 737 MAX debacle with that MCAS system. And so anyway, there's your useless bit of aviation trivia for the day. But flying that 737-200 sim, I'd always want to fly a round dial Boeing. I didn't tell Ken because I didn't want to, you know, since he's not here, I can tell you, I didn't tell Ken that because I didn't want to know how excited I was to actually get to go. That way I get to play, you know, oh, I'm here to do you a favor, you know, go grumpy and everything, you know. But the reality was I was looking forward to it as much as he was. And it was a hoot. It was everything I hoped it would be. I'd always want to fly a plane like that, you know, big yoke, you know, and the big, you know, 5-inch dial instruments, your old school aviation, the mechanical numbers and all the setting windows and stuff, you know. The 7.3 though, I've jump seated those things more times than I can count. That's the first time I've actually flown one, and it's. I mean, it's like anything else. You do it a few times, you get used to what you're doing. I will say this: for someone with only a private pilot's license, and I might add, who had not, who'd never flown a jet or a big airplane, Ken did really very well. You know, we were teasing him in the video because the first time he'd done it, he had no experience based drone, but he adapted very quickly. And I'll tell you, had he made other decisions in life, I have no doubt he had the raw material to be a commercial or military pilot. But don't tell him I said that. Actually, I already did.
Delete this.
But no, he did pretty well. He was working hard, and he's saying, "You fly it for a while." I'm like, "Oh no, this is your time." You know, no, you fly. I'm like, yeah, it's getting hard, isn't it? But and the guy who was, I didn't realize our instructor is 85 years old. I thought he was maybe 70, and he'd flown everything for Delta from 7.4s down to 7.3s, and he's like, yes, he's flown Airbus. He's like, hey, the Airbus does everything for you. It does. That'll make a lazy pilot out of you. And they wouldn't let us use the autopilot. We got to use the auto's throttles, but we were hand pumped. I mean, because you're there for 1 hour, you get the experience. You know, don't let the computer fly. You're just a passenger. You might as well sit in the back seat. And it was, you know, and those things when you throw the trim, that trim went whir. That's kind of weird. It makes all kind. You can tell that airplane's doing by the noises it makes. But, oh, you did your ATP in the 73300 to Phoenix. There you go. That's a handful of airplane to get your ATP in, but here's to you. Good man. I know I can fly a real 7.3. I could even get it back on the ground. It wouldn't be pretty, but Piedmont had a thing going for a while, or excuse me, US Air, after they merged with Piedmont. And if you were a US Air Express pilot, now I was at Mesa, they would get you your 737 type rating for, I think it was $4,000. And that's about a half or a third of what it normally cost. And what it was is they had extra sim space. You know, they weren't hiring very many. The sims weren't getting used any more than just check rides and proficiency checks. So they figured, hey, let's make a little extra money. And all the guys were getting their 737 type rating so they could go to Southwest or whatever. Because when you go to interview at an airline, at Southwest, you had to have your 737 type even to put in an application. And, excuse me. And I know one guy, he's a Southwest captain today. As a matter of fact, he's probably coming up on retirement. He's just a little younger than me, so he's probably got a couple of years left. Wild guy. That's right where he needed to be. But we had there were some really good updates. That airplane is, I think the 737 holds the record as the most produced airliner type. If you go all the way from the 200s to the Maxes, I don't think Airbus has caught up yet, but they might have. But Airbus is ahead of them now. Might eventually surpass, and I'm sure somebody will Google that. Anyway, the rolling map. Yeah, they used to the old some of the simulators they actually pulled a map through to give you your visuals, or had the little moving map display. And they had airplanes, and the Harriers had them, where they actually had a map in the back of the airplane, and as you flew, the map would be moved around, so your spot was indicated on a paper map that was reflected up in the cockpit. It's pretty whiz bang. Oh, New York Air had that in their helicopters. In their later ones, they actually had, and what they had was they had the map in the pedestal between the pilots, and it literally had a stylus that would draw as they were flying. It would move around the map. You know, and it was the technology of the day. Now, that was really whiz bang for the time. That was one of the things I had to get used to. And actually, I'm kind of happy how well I adapted to it. But I didn't have, you know, all modern airplanes have moving maps right there on the TV screen. You know, you can't get lost. You literally have an electronic map in front. It's all round out. You got to do the math in your head. You know, Chattanooga 40 miles that way. You know, Atlanta 60 miles that way. So I'm here, and you know, back in the days when they had real pilots and real navigators. But so today, something I wanted to talk about was, and I'm sure we've all had fun with this, mixing paints to get a color that you need. If you either can't get the color you need or they don't make it. This comes from a glue trooper who sent me a question today. He's doing a Focke-Wulf 190. And one of the colors he's supposed to use on the splinter pattern, camo pattern, is AS4, which is, you ready for this? Gray violet. I mean, who wants to go into combat in an airplane that's painted violet? But anyway, I took a look at it. It looked gray to me. It's just like dark gray. But he couldn't find it, and he didn't want to go out and have to buy a whole rattle can of the stuff just for, we just need a little bit. And I did find out how to make the mix because somebody else, because everything's on the internet. But it got me wondering how many of you guys have had, and I know it's happened with you because you've had to mix special colors for some of your cars and stuff. And I'm curious, what are some of your happy experiences trying to mix the color paints?
Well, I used to have this Jeep Grand Cherokee, an old one, a 90s one, which was a great car. And to me, it came out with a model kit of it. So I wanted to paint it to look like mine. And nobody made a color for it. And so I got a couple of bottles of paint and started mixing it up. And wasn't getting anywhere, was just using a lot of paint. So I went to a body shop supply place that supplied paints and tape and, all kinds of stuff to body shops. And I said to him, can you make this color? And the guy says, I can do one better. I could make it in a rattle can for you. I was like, oh, that's great. So for $25, he made me a rattle can with the right color. So you have to prime it with automotive primer because you just put paint on, it'll just eat up the plastic. I mean, it'll just dissolve it.
Now, did you learn that from this, or did you already know that?
No, I was told that.
Okay.
But Jim told me that, as a matter of fact, because we were having a discussion one day about how when you go to shows and you see some of these cars and they have paint jobs that are like real cars. And he said, well, that doesn't always work out. He said, because the paint for the real cars doesn't mix well with styrene. So you got to put automotive primer on it and then paint over it. But it's tough because there's a lot of colors. Like you talk about planes, you talk about ships. I know you had a hard time when you were doing the Arizona, trying to match the paint of what the actual color of the ship was.
Yeah, and the paint guide was completely off.
Yes, and well, what I found is that the best hint I can give all the troopers is, you're going to have to do a lot of trial and error. So go to Wendy's and order your hamburger and fries and drink. And when you go to the bar that has the straws and the napkins and stuff, take as many of those little cups that are for ketchup that you just put in your pocket and bring them home and just mix paint in those little cups.
I use little plastic cups because I normally use acrylics. Today I was using lacquers. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And I forgot lacquers are not acrylics. So I put the lacquer thinner in the lacquer, my little plastic cup, stir it, pour it.
Went right through it.
And then when I pick the cup up, the bottom's up there and there's this white liquid stuff on the table like that was my cup.
Yeah.
Well, today, one of the things I did was, is David said, look, if you want to tint that canopy, what you need to do is use lacquer, thin it out, and just lightly airbrush it. And I saw a couple of videos online about how to do that. I said, okay. And I practiced on some clear plastic till I got it the way I wanted it. And so the great thing is that this is how the canopy wound up looking and when I was done. But it was, it actually, and that's a lot of thin buildups because it goes on like there's nothing there. So keep adding it on slowly, let it dry, add it on. But it finally got me a tint that was more like what I was looking for. And unfortunately, as I was just telling you before we got started, the rest of the kit, not really happy with it. In fact, we'll just talk about that for a second. I'm doing the Big Testers 1/32 scale F117. And I'm trying to do a nice job because doing it for someone else as a thank you. And unfortunately, it is a tester's kit, and I don't know if you guys have built it, but in fact, I think I got the picture. I can just bring it up. The nose gear well basically bumps into the cockpit tub so that you have to bend them effectively around each other. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I got the picture right here. Here it is. Here it is. I'll just show you guys. So that you'll see it in about 15 seconds, Steve. That, okay. By the way, the engine inlets didn't fit. That's why I've got those pieces of styrene sprue or runner tree glued there, basically just to cover up the gaps. But the cockpit tub sits right behind that hump where the nose wheel goes, and when it sits like that, it basically, you cannot close the front of the thing. It winds up looking like this. And I was going to add that liquid gravity to it, but I'm like, okay, it looks like a duck quacking. Anyway, apparently I've got the port side cinched down with tester's red tube, something I know will really bite. And I'm letting that harden overnight, and then tomorrow I'll tack down the other side. But that basically creates the bow in the belly. And the alignment is meh. And I'm sure some of you guys have built this kit. You know what I'm talking about. But I was like, you got, I mean, it's not like I could have it out of place. The wheel well is molded in, and the cockpit goes right into these large guide grooves. You can't have it in the wrong place. So it's not like I got something out of place. And it just almost it does look like a lawn dart. And so I'm like, really? From the good people at Testers. So I got the one side cinched down, and this is me squeezing the other side. I'm actually holding both of them down to make sure that it will in fact fit and go into place, and it will. But I was still like, not great. Not, it's going to be a lot of cleanup on the other end. Again, you need a generous amount of glue, but I did manage to clamp it down, and I'm just letting it harden like this overnight. And you can see I've got the Aztec putty in the wheel wells. And by the way, the bomb bays, which are closed, didn't fit very well either. And even after I went through all the trouble to glue them into place, and I even made it a point to go ahead and mask off the back of it to make sure it stayed in place and didn't wiggle around, and they still popped out a little bit. I was just like, not a great kit, and the canopy doesn't fit that well either. I mean, I can get it in place, but I'm like, this is a really lousy fit. So, not real thrilled with it. Not saying I can't salvage it or make something do with it. Now, one thing I was thinking, possibly, there's two things I can do. The bomb bay, as you see where the wheels are at, they extend rearward, so they're in the back. They stick out of the back of the, you can see where they actually get the plug, the holes where they actually go in. I could go ahead and put the bomb bay in here and pack the forward into the bomb bay with that liquid gravity. That would work. Or the other thing I was telling you, Steve, that I could also do, although I'm not so sure, is I could pop out the sensor there in the nose and drill a hole. And once this thing is all glued into place and hardened, I could pump the resin with the liquid gravity, pour it in through a hole there, and then put that sensor back to cover the hole up. That would take probably less liquid gravity because it would be it'd have the leverage advantage being out there in the tip of the nose. So I'll do one of those two. But I'm like, wow, this. It even tells you in the instructions you got to weight the nose, but they don't tell you how much. So it'll be trial and error. I guess what I'll do is once I get it up on its wheels, or get to a point where I can put it on its wheels, I can, with the wings and tail and everything, I can just put some in the nose and see how much it takes. I don't really want to pour it in the cockpit, although it's going to, the canopy's going to be moved down. You never see it. It just, it's turning into a little bit more of an engineering project than I expected. But you can see right here that underneath where that sensor's at, there is room for a fair amount, though there's a large void space there. So I think that would work. But more trouble than it should have been.
Well, now you got Hobby Lobby has their own brand of paints for airbrushing.
Mm-hmm.
Small little bottles, wide variety of colors. They have individual bottles, and then they have sets. They have car set, they have military set, they have a naval set. I haven't tried them yet. Bought some, but I haven't tried them yet. But you're supposed to be able to use them right out of the bottle. But that's a good thing to get if you're going to have to mix a color. And get the little bottles, put a couple of drops in, and put them in the cup and mix them up.
Well, even a lot of these paints that say they're airbrush ready, I've learned you still have to thin them.
You still got to thin them. They're usually a little too thick.
One thing I like about the lacquers, they did the tires with lacquer, with black rubber lacquer, and I prefer lacquers and acrylics both dry very quickly. Okay, so God bless them both for that. You okay there, buddy? Look like you're. Here's Kenny, Captain Ken. Let's all harass him. Tell him what a bad come on, Ken. I said admit. Ken? All right, I'll let him in. Like the wolf at the door. Hello?
Probably eating.
Oh, yeah, well, that's possible. Anywho, so the lacquers come off kind of easy like acrylics. I accidentally took some off with a alcohol without trying. And, you think lacquer would be more resistant, but anyway.
Wait a minute. Something's happening.
Sounds like one of the, this is how science fiction movies again. It sounds like one of the ants from them is eating him.
Yeah. Maybe not.
I had to wait 30 minutes for somebody to open the paint prison. Yeah, that doesn't shock me. That's the kind of stuff people steal. But
it fits in your pocket.
But lacquers have a nice flow to them. You do have to thin them, but and I think they bite the plastic better. Acrylic just lays on the surface. There he is. I have a visual.
Oh, it's Sky King.
I'm gathering you're not at home, judging by the sluggish feed.
No, I am on my daughter's. What is this? A Chromebook. Yeah, it's not the fastest device.
Well, maybe we could find a way to put an avatar up and it'll feed better. That way we won't have to feed the video because the video is very sketchy. Would you like to use an avatar? That way you can eat without us knowing. Let's see. Do you make the avatar or do I make the avatar? You make the avatar. Make your own avatar.
You should.
Put in waiting room. No, allow multi-pin. Rename. No, I think.
Thing.
I think.
I'm trying to get the headphones to work. Not having a lot of luck with that, but that might just be because it's taking a while for it to load the device in.
You're here. Anyway, I was just telling them what a fantastic job I did and how I saved you from embarrassing yourself in some.
You're funny.
Yeah, I am. No, actually, Ken did a good job. The hardest thing to do in a sim, and I kid you not, I'm not being facetious. The hardest thing to do in a sim is to taxi it.
Yeah, it was not easy. That tiller thing is very sensitive.
Just for the record, Ken, the airplane isn't quite that bad. The sims are harder to fly than planes by design.
Right.
Sir Jane says, I heard he was the first person to use a parachute.
That was me. I did wear a parachute. No, I had my backpack with me, and while I was waiting on Ken, some people came in just to take some pictures, and they were like, "What you wearing?" And I always wear a parachute in this thing. But anyway, so Ken, I know you're down to talk about it. So before we get back into painting model airplanes, say what you want to say about your time in the sim.
My time in the sim, I got to enjoy it with my best friend Max.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
That
Man.
I'm serious. That was the best part, to be able to share it with him. The other part is I didn't crash anything. I did
Despite my
want to
best
squish
efforts.
the guy. I did want to squish the guy with the wands when we were taxiing into the gate, but the instructor wouldn't let me.
No, that's a no-no. They have to file an OSHA event if you do that. How'd you like the graphics?
The graphics were okay.
Then that's an older sim. The newer graphics a little bit better, more or less the same.
Yeah, considering its age, the graphics was very good.
They've improved a little bit, but overall it's nothing. It's no quantum leap, but it's just enough to do the job.
Rob wants to know if the sim had an ejector seat.
I put it to the test, but all it did was adjust it. But anyway,
Can some of the viewers want to know, are you in a go-go dancer cage?
yes, he is. That's how he earns his extra money. Don't you be judgy.
No, this is actually my daughter's reading chair, I think she calls it. It's a great big wicker thing that you sit in.
Hey, they had those on the cruise ship I was on. Yeah, those are actually kind of cool. You sit there and read a book, they're kind of neat.
Yeah, that's what?
It has cup holders.
Oh yeah, it's even got a cup holders.
Ma'am, I didn't have
There
no
you go.
cup holders.
There you go.
You tell her I said I think it's cool.
She says thank
You're
you. It's got a
welcome.
big look on her face.
Unfortunately, the ship staff saw me and said, "Sir, you do realize that's suspended by a chain from the ceiling?" And yeah, what we're telling you is get out. We're really worried. I was like, I won't hurt myself. You're not what we're worried about. Those things are expensive. But
I'm sure there was some concern.
is that
They
one from
probably
the
had-
floor or does
yeah,
it swing?
What?
Is that one on a pedestal from the floor or is it hanging from the ceiling?
It's on a pedestal.
Oh, see, mine was hanging from the ceiling. So it's like a bird
And,
cat. I felt like one of the girls on Laugh-In or whatever it was, used to be up in the cages and everything. I know the 60s were a liberated time, but when you got go-go dancers in cages, I'm kind of like, are you guys catching the metaphor here? I'm not sure that's really a very liberated thing.
Correct.
I never quite caught the girls feeling liberated because they were go-go dancing in miniskirts in a cage. But okay, whatever. Yeah. So,
Whatever trips to the trigger, right?
well, it just seems like what you do when you get caught by the enemy or something. But anyway, I mean,
Trying to figure out how to turn these things on. There it is. Trying to turn the headphones on so
well, the
nobody has to
microphone's
listen.
booming really good, so you're good on that score. Okay, once again, lowest production values on the internet.
What can we say, man? It's us.
I'm glad you wore a clean shirt
Well, there you go.
because you are right up in front of the camera. What is C380?
That's the model number of my boat, Catalina 380.
Oh, he's got the hat and the T-shirt.
No.
No, I don't have a hat with the 380
Okay,
on.
you're giving the camera your elbow. Steve's fighting with his dog. I'm drinking a
Yes.
cough medicine. Yep, this is definitely Max's Models live stream
Trying to figure out-
Meanwhile, getting back to the topic,
of painting models and mixing paints.
One of the things-
Did you melt your car?
no,
Oh,
no, actually.
so you did
that
prime it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it did
okay.
work. But one of the things that I know this is going to sound very sort of elementary, but it's something that I think everybody should have, is that they make these little charts that if you mix this color with this color, you get that color. And I
Jim
think that's-
Klodek, that's not a go-go dancer. That's a man, baby. Austin, that was one of my favorite parts of that movie. That was good. I'm sorry, you were saying.
That's all right. Well, you know what they say, the difference between our father's times and the times today is in our father's time, they had Wonder Woman. Our times, it's they wonder if it's a woman.
Adam, I saw that one coming over the horizon. Had the shields up.
But anyway, so I think, I mean, it sounds very basic, but they do make little charts that tell you if you mix this color with that color, it equals that color. That's kind of helpful.
Well,
Because
okay.
a lot of times,
Yes, that's true. But now here's another problem. A lot of box art, because how many of us painted long before models came all these detailed and short, how many of us painted based on what was on the box art?
oh yeah,
Now you go to ScaleMates, you'll see the same box art shaded 5 different ways because
Oh.
so matching that paint, and I'll give you a classic example. How many of you painted your Godzillas green? Okay.
instead of
And
gray.
it's 32 after the hour, so 32 minutes is the okay.
Was the
Godzilla's
window.
actually gray. And I've got I actually put mine in display in the other room now, but you see,
Yeah, because that's what was on the box. He was green on the Aurora box.
but Godzilla is actually gray. You tell him, dude, I am gray. And but they painted him green on the box. They sold a lot of green paint. Good God, the only kids I knew that had him, he was like bright green, like beyond Creature from the Black Lagoon. And there's another one, Creature from the Black Lagoon. You know, it was a black and white movie. Everybody just assumed he was green, which he probably was. But suppose you go to one of the conventions and somebody's painted him gray or some other color. You can't say it's wrong. And in fact, I would be inclined to paint him black and white. You know, like.
Well, look at it this way. You live in Florida. There's lizards everywhere.
Alligators are gray.
And how many of them are all different shades of gray-green?
Actually, I wouldn't actually. Well, they are. They are. Alligators have numerous shades, and crocodiles too. And they have the layer underbellies.
And lizards too.
And everybody paints the creature's belly like yellow.
Yes.
Okay. And admittedly, alligators have a tint like that, but overall they're mostly a whitish, creamish color.
Yeah, it's white.
You know, well, sometimes it's smeared with red, but that depends on what they just ate.
Eric says he was green on the movie poster.
Okay, but not all the movie posters. Okay, so yeah, you know, what?
John Ashley's comment.
Tastes like cherry cola. Man, they are not letting that one go. If the live stream gets cut, we know why. Just don't throw shade on a crocodile.
No, but I mean, you know, look, we have this discussion all the time. You go to a museum, you look at a car, plane, a boat, whatever it is. Okay, it's that color. You go get a piece of reference material, completely different color.
Oh, yeah.
Look.
Oh, okay. Suppose you got a model of the prototype automobile, the Norseman. What color would you paint it? Because there are no color photos.
There are no color photos, and nobody remembers what color it was. So
Yeah.
there's two theories. Number one, it's that green color that you see a lot of them painted. There's like a metallic green, the whole car. Then there's another painting of the car that's white and blue.
Oh, here, I can do it.
Ken, can you mute your mic if you're not talking? Because we're getting a lot of background noise from the girls.
Ken.
Ken.
Fine.
And when you want to talk, just flip it back on. But we're catching a lot of background chatter. Plus, you're moving really stilted. I feel like I'm on acid and all of it, you know. You got to turn it back on if you want to talk.
Fred says it looks like he's in a haunted house.
yeah, Ken, you got to turn it back on to talk. Ken, we're getting this. Come on.
Jam Child.
It's like the radio. You got to squeeze the button to talk.
Yeah. James says, just paint the Norseman rust like it looks today on the bottom of the ocean
Put a
floor.
few barnacles on it.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, there's nothing left probably of any color to be.
Okay, first off, too soon. Garfield says the lagoon was not
too
black
soon?
as well.
1950
Yeah.
What do you mean too soon? It was 1956.
Still hurts.
Oh, okay.
That was a cool car. They should have made another one.
Was handmade. No plans.
Getting back to the colors though, a lot of these concept cars are painted these wild colors. You are not going to find, you're going to have to mix it. Now,
and they were not standard colors.
and
They
I
were
did
made just for
close in
that
some
color.
cases. Now we're dealing with a situation where a lot of now we all know, like, you can put yellow and blue and get green, or you can put a yellow and darker green and get a zinc chromate. Okay, there are a couple of real easy fixes. But what happens when you want to mix up, like he was asking, he wants the lavender gray for the German airplane. And, you're like, and he didn't, it turned out it was 7 parts dark gray, 3 parts lavender, 1 part something else to make it. And I'm sure it worked because the guy showed his work in the video and he did a beautiful job. But somebody had to figure that out. And I personally have gone through several bottles of paint trying to get the mix right and couldn't do it. And now I had bottles full of colors that I didn't need. So I usually just dump in one big bottle, shake it up, whatever that color is, I find something to use it on.
Well, look at it this way. In most instances, there's not going to be anybody around who'll know the difference.
I brought that point up to him that, most people never get, but you'll know. Now, that brings up another question. Have you ever mixed up a batch of paint? You painted what you had to do. You had a bunch left over. You knew it wouldn't keep. You're like, what else have I got that I can paint this color?
Oh, yeah. Well, the worst thing is when you mix up a bunch of paint and you're painting it and you run out of paint, you have no more.
And you'll never be able to perfectly match the color again.
Never match it again.
I have a 1970s Survivor model that we built. My brother built the de Havilland Mosquito. And he was like 14, 15 years old. I was already off in the Army. And he was painting the underbelly. He brush because we didn't have any money for no air guns. And he's brush painting, right? And he runs out. So he starts mixing up more light gray, but he can never get the mix right. So the bottom of that airplane to this day has seven, count them, 7 different tones of gray on the bottom, which personally I think gives it kind of a well-used look, but and God forbid you finally get the mix right and the brush you pick still has just a hint of some other paint in it. And you're like, you get the streak of gray.
What color was Adrienne Barbeau in Swamp Thing?
Hot. You didn't see Swamp Thing?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. She was a beautiful flesh tone. Okay. Swamp Thing was okay, but how many of you saw Swamp Girl with Ferlin Husky?
Well,
and there are about 9 or 10 people right now going Google who was Ferlin Husky. That was one of those super budget films that was shot down here in the South and back in the 70s. And Ferlin Husky was like this one-hit wonder country musician. And they made a big deal that he was in this movie. And I was kind of like, yeah.
Well, did you ever see Hillbillies in a Haunted House?
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh, God.
But did you ever see Boxcar Bertha?
Yes.
Made me want to run out and get a 12 gauge. Man, those things work. And there you go. Watch these old movies. See what they have in them that you already have the molds for. Like cars or whatever. And the box as seen in Boxcar Bertha. And if you guys haven't seen, what are a couple of those other frogs?
Yes.
Now, I remember when frogs came to the theater, Nature Strikes Back. And, mind you, I'm like 9, 10 12 years old, whatever, right? But I thought that this was some big theatrical release. I had no idea what a budget flick it was because you're 10 years old. You're so easy to entertain. I mean, I remember my buddy Jim. You are not dragging me to see that movie. That's horrible. Astro Zombies. Yeah.
Look at it this way. When you were 9 or 10 years old, you didn't know the difference between
that was the beauty of being 9 or 10 years old. You thought, a Corman film might as well have been Cecil B. DeMille.
I mean, look, I remember when I was a kid, you go to the movies, I think it cost like 25 cents. You got 2 movies, you got like maybe a couple cartoons, and you got coming attractions, and it was always another low budget monster sci-fi.
You didn't know that.
Couldn't wait. I got to come back next week. I got to find errands to do so I get enough money to go to the theater. So now I sit here and I watch Tubi or YouTube or any of these, and I look at all these movies and I go, I've seen every one of these.
Eric's onto something here. Some, you know, like you have like the Visible Rabbit, or you got the rabbit kits. You need to get the molds of the rabbit kit. You see, this is okay. Here's what the boys at Atlantis need to do. They need to get because I think they got those molds and sell it as a Night of the Lepus, a little house with it. Get the Grizzly and sell it from the movie Grizzly, not because remember that I think it was Christopher George. You know, I mean, anytime a movie is led by a television actor, you know, it's a budget flick. But you know, Grizzly and you know, because Hollywood ran out of things to make monsters out of, and although I got to admit, Grizzly didn't need much help. I mean, those things are monsters. Okay, Ken, you can answer this question. What's the difference between a grizzly bear and a Kodiak bear?
One's bigger.
We learned this when we were in Alaska. Turn the volume back on. Ken, you got to turn the mic back on.
I know.
Okay, so what's the difference between a grizzly bear and a Kodiak bear? Okay, you got it muted again. It is so weird watching him move like that. Because, Ken, what we're seeing is... Okay, turn your mic back on. It is on? I have no idea what he's saying. I don't speak Ken sign.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Now we can hear.
Now we hear.
Okay. This is not the fastest machine.
Okay.
I can't even see you guys. All I can see is me.
You ain't missing.
What does
much,
it have?
brother,
A hamster
trust
on
me.
a treadmill giving it?
Wait a minute. You can't see us?
No.
Okay. No.
Max, stop that.
He saw
He
that.
doesn't have to see.
Saw that.
He knows.
I know. Yes.
So, Ken,
Okay.
remember what they taught us? What's the difference between a Kodiak bear or what and a grizzly bear?
Well, I know the Kodiak bear is a bigger bear. I know that part, but I'm not sure about what you're
They're
alluding
the
to.
exact same thing. A Kodiak bear is simply a grizzly that's on Kodiak. That's it.
Oh,
That's it. When they go on Kodiak, they're Kodiak bears. When they go back they're grizzly bears.
oh, okay.
Now maybe
When I
the ones that stay in Kodiak may eat better, may be actually bigger, but genetically they're identical.
When I was in Alaska, the third day I was there, on the front page of the local newspaper was a picture of a bear that a man had shot on the outer edge of Anchorage. In his backyard, it was the second largest Kodiak bear ever shot in Alaska. And he didn't even go outside. He shot it out through his back door on his house into his backyard.
Do you remember what we...
Better choice than going out and doing it.
Oh yeah. Do you remember what we saw? The guys kite surfing. You remember that? Kites or whatever they're doing.
Oh yeah, on skis. Yeah,
And what did they have with them?
guns.
Guns.
306s.
Right. Yep. These guys are out there like, you know, with the skis with the parachutes, and they each got a bolt action. They're probably 30-06 or 335s over their shoulders. And I was like, they're not joking in Alaska. You do not wander off without either a seriously high-powered revolver, sidearm, or a good-sized rifle. And I'm not talking, you go out there with your 22 squirrel gun. You go out there with a 30-06 or a 44 Magnum. Because those critters, you shoot a grizzly with a 38 or 9 millimeter. And do you remember?
You're gonna piss them off.
Do you remember Blazing Saddles? Oh, Mongo's in town. He starts to put on his gun. If you shoot him, you'll only make him angry. That may be my favorite line in a movie full of great lines.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, those bears are hard to stop. When my stepfather and my mom were up there in Alaska many years ago, they went out to look at his property that he owned out there. And after a few minutes, he said, I think we better go on back. We don't have any firepower with us.
Yeah. And hey, my brother lives in Montana, and he takes a 10 millimeter semi-auto to go walk the dog.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, you think you're gonna stop a bear with a 10 millimeter? He goes, well, hope to discourage it. Yeah.
Well, you know,
I read the book by Jimmy Doolittle, his autobiography, I Could Never Be So Lucky Again. And when he was a young man living in Alaska, he's felt bad about this. He's out hunting, and a bear cub comes running towards him, and he knew what that meant. And he tried, before he could back up or get up, because bear cubs are curious. Mama came bolting out of and he had no choice. He had to kill her. So he shoots her, she drops. Because Jimmy Doolittle was an experienced hunter and a dead shot. But he goes, I felt really bad because now there's this cub that lost its, and he felt terrible about it, which I can understand. The bear's just doing what bears do. It's not evil. Anyway, I really think the guys at Atlantis need to take their grizzly bear and remarket it like with the tie-in to the movie or something, because they're selling it as a prehistoric grizzly. And oh, by the way, speaking of which, I think it was Bill, if you're out there, KSLC wanted me to talk about dinosaurs, and if you, I've never built one of the dinosaur kits. Have you?
no.
Okay. He wanted me to talk about that, and maybe as a subject for the live stream. And I really don't know where to go with that because I've never built one. Although I do know that Tamiya makes them. Aurora kind of kicked it off, I think, and theirs were Aurora kits, But hey, you know what?
Scenes.
We rag on Aurora, but they had them when nobody else did. So, as my brother tells me when I used to gripe about flying at Mesa Airlines because how the commuters treat their employees, he goes, hey, remember, they gave you a job when nobody else did. And I'm thinking, yeah, and they gave me 8 years worth of paychecks, and we were paid at the first and in the middle of the month. So, maybe keep a little perspective. We can rag on Aurora kits for being kind of cheesy, but they were there when nobody else was. And now Tammy and a bunch of other people make them. And there's a lot. I've got to be honest, I saw some of the newer kits and I almost thought about buying one just out of curiosity, but they're not cheap. Somebody just did a video.
Well, Pyro used to have a whole set of prehistoric dinosaur kits.
Who did?
Pyro.
Yeah, Pyro. And Pyro, I think, made some pretty good ones from what I understand.
They were the ones who actually started it because they did it before Aurora did. And then Aurora kind of took it up with the prehistoric scenes and, took it to another level.
Wait a minute. Pyro was ahead of Aurora?
Oh, yeah. Pyro was in the 50s.
I did not realize that they were ahead of it for some, probably because of the quality. Okay. Guys, there is I just watched part of it. There's a YouTube channel called Working Title Models. And he just put out a video. Why are plastic models so expensive? Tariff, licensing.
So I watched it.
Okay. So guys, Working Title Models. You might want to check it out. I got to give him credit. He actually, although he did a great job. He did a lot of research, and he got into some of the actual numbers. And he was showing that $352,000 is the average cost of bringing a kit model to market today, between the engineering, the mold cutting, the licensing, and everything. That he's got it. I mean, maybe it's not. Well, of course, it also depends on how big of a model you're doing and how many parts and what licenses are needed. You saw the video, the stuff he was. You think?
But I think he was really high.
So we'll just assume he's doing a top shelf model. You can do it for a quarter of that if you're doing something more. Nice thing about dinosaurs, no royalties to pay. But it did. I was impressed. That you okay there, Ken? Oh, good. Okay, good. So anyway, getting back to mixing paints. What's the hardest color you ever had to mix, or what color? Because I don't know how to make some colors, and you can go online and learn anything, and it's really amazing what colors make what colors. There's all kind of matrices out there. But you know what? You know what 2 colors you can't make? There's 2 colors you can't make. Really more than that, but there's 2 that you can't make. You have to buy. Black and white.
White, yeah.
Was it black is the absence of all light and white is solid light? Something like that.
And really, you can't make too many other colors without either one of them.
Yep.
It depends whether you're talking about the physicists or the artist's color wheel.
The artist color wheel. Which another one you can't make.
And
is,
you look like
I
you're
don't
in
think
a
you,
hut in Kenya.
Earth to Ken, Earth to Ken.
No, he's not getting it.
Anyway, you also I don't think you make silver or chrome
No.
or gold.
Anybody tried this 30 some odd dollar a can Revell Chrome spray?
I heard it's pretty good.
Well, that's what I hear, but it's kind of pricey. You know.
Well, if it delivers $30, I mean, yeah, God, you build a model today, we grab out the model cost and you realize you triple it when you add all the paints and everything. I just dropped 140, 125 at Hurricane Hobbies on paint, mostly rattle cans, and the artificial gravity, but excuse me, liquid gravity, and that was after Ian gave me a very nice discount.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why you don't get a lot of young kids into the hobby, because the combined cost is pretty high.
Yes, it is.
And you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you make that prince.
I'm still looking for it. I've made maybe a Duke, perhaps an Earl. I haven't really made a Prince yet. All of you see, the thing is, like every model builder, I know where my flaws are at. So that's how I pose, remember, as we said when we had Harvey Lowe with us, making a great model is only part, making, a great model is part of the equation. What's really important is knowing how to photograph that model. Because you can make some pretty mediocre builds look good on camera.
Camera can make anything look good. Look at cars on Bring a Trailer and eBay and all these other places.
Look at half these
really
actresses without their makeup.
And then when you go to see it, you're like, this is the same car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, that brings up a very point I wanted to make. Guys, when you take pictures for the group builds and stuff and the viewers builds, if you got the settings on your camera and you can, please make them a 16:9. That just helps, because that way we don't get the black bars. And also make sure you back off enough that the whole model's in the picture. I get a lot of nice builds, but they're way off center. I'd rather have a lot of air and use the highest resolution you think you can send to me. It really, really helps. Okay, enough of that. So I find the toughest things to get is when greens don't seem to be that hard to mix. Grays are probably the easiest thing because you just keep adding white until you get there. Of course, I usually overshoot. Buffs and tans are usually not too difficult. But blues and reds get a little squirrely.
Greens are hard because there's so many different greens.
Mm.
I mean, that's a tricky one. Yellow's tough too.
Yellow, well, you pretty much have to buy yellow. You can mix a few
but I'm
colors.
saying, there's so many different shades depending upon what you're painting.
My favorite yellow is what's called camel yellow. It's a darker, richer, thicker yellow. I like that. My recommendation, people are dealing with yellow, is start with a darker yellow. Okay? You can always add a little white to thin it out. It's because what are you going to darken a yellow with? You got to have darker yellow. And but I agree. The other thing is, we all know yellow is hard to get the covering area. That's why I have learned that pink primer. And if you don't have pink primer, if you have to use gray primer, lay a pink coating before you lay the yellow. It'll pop a lot better. I found pink is a really good base for yellow. Some people say black, but it's yeah.
Can't you just stick some black in the yellow to make it darker?
Kind of changes the whole look of the yellow.
If you do that, Ken, start off with a tiny little bit of black and see if you like where it's going, because it kind of veers off course in a hurry. Brown might work. I don't know. I would research it. And you're going to test. God, how much paint have we all wasted trying to figure out the color pattern? And I've got, right now, as we speak, I've got bottles of bizarre colors. I'm going to build a model just to use those things on it. Build a Freddy flame out or something that, I can do whatever I want with.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what kind of model are you gonna build to use your weird colors with?
Oh, something like a Freddy Flameout, or one of those weirdos or something.
Fig
That,
things or
yeah,
something.
yeah, something that you can do whatever you want with. And I'm gonna be honest, and don't get me wrong. I love Keeler, and I would love to have known Big Daddy Roth. Ratfink just never appealed to me. He's a little too.
He was the anti-Mickey Mouse.
So
That's what he was. That's what he created him as, the anti-Mickey Mouse.
what you're saying is Ratfink is Mickey on crack.
Yeah.
Spilled my water. I spilt my water out of a sippy cup. That takes skills.
With really bad eyes.
And you weren't even flying.
No more check rides, baby. No more medicals.
Yeah, he was able to have fun this time because there was no pressure. He had nobody sitting there
I
waiting to
swear,
take his job away from him.
The hardest thing for me to get used to is the idea that now that I have a ticket, that I can go to the airport bar and have a drink. I mean, I don't because they're $15 frickin', but the
Okay.
fact that I could.
Dale Comer just brought up an interesting point. How would anybody really know what the dinosaur colors were?
I have wondered that.
You know,
In fact, I want you guys to take. I just had a group build idea. A dinosaur group build, but you have to use non-traditional colors. In other words, you're right. We have no idea. Velociraptors could have been Dayglow orange for all we know.
Well, the purpose of color in the animal kingdom is either to warn or to camouflage.
camouflage.
So if you don't need to camouflage because all your predators don't have color vision, then what difference does it make what color you are?
Well, Ken, that brings up the age-old question. If no one has color vision, did the colors really exist? If a tree falls in the wood. Now, by the way, just for the record, if a tree falls in the woods and there's no one there to hear it, yes, it makes noise because it creates shock waves. So, yes, the noise is made. Just because there's no receptor does not mean the noise.
Finally, the answer to the age-old question. Max solved it.
Now I've got the question for you, astronaut versus caveman. In fact, I don't like caveman. Astronaut versus what? Neanderthal?
What are you talking about?
You never heard who would win in a fight, an astronaut or a caveman? One
No.
knows science, the other knows brutality.
No.
You've never heard that question before? That's
No.
one of the that's one of those. If a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, did it make any sound? It was who would win, an astronaut or a caveman? Personally, I think they'd make friends, but I'm a very optimistic person.
Is that what pilots talk about when they're bored up front?
No, Ken, I thought I told you this. In the 40 years we've known each other, I know I've told you this. When pilots were with a girl, they talk about flying. When they're in the cockpit, they talk about girls.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
I'm glad you think so.
So when you're with girls, you're talking about flying?
Yeah. See, babe, there I was, 30,000 feet, flat on my back, air medals dangling in my face.
Are you sure it's air medals or dirigibles?
It's my story. It's whatever I want it to be.
That's right.
This is my lie, and I'll tell it how I want.
God, I hope Monica's not watching tonight.
So do I.
Well, this is all
Yeah,
pre-married.
Alien versus Predator. There you go. You see? Yeah, Alien versus Predator. Astronaut versus caveman. I think the minute the astronaut pulls out a book of matches and strikes one in front of the caveman and hands him the book of matches, they'll be buddies forever.
No, either that or the caveman splits his head open with a club.
You better be quick with the matches.
Well, does he have the helmet on? Is he in his
And there it
astronaut
is.
suit?
There it is. Now you see how this discussion goes. You start having this ludicrous question. All of a sudden, well, does he have a helmet? Well, does he have this? Well, no, Ken, but he is carrying a Survival 45, so it was a pretty quick fight.
Next, we're going to be talking about what were the 3 books that he took back in the time machine.
Oh, I know that. Okay, it was the Bible. It was a handyman's how to build stuff. And it was first aid manual.
It could have been porn.
With the Eloy, why would you need it? They'll do what you tell them.
Wow. You want to show them the next level.
Okay,
you
the
know?
Kama Sutra a medical book, and a handyman's how to build stuff. Okay, all right. You need the handyman's book and you need the medical book. Your choice is the Kama Sutra or the Bible. Okay, and remember, you may burn in hell based on this answer. So,
Yeah, the
Well-
Bible loses.
If you're talking about the Eloy, that's not in the past. That's way in the future.
you do realize it took us 60 seconds to get from painting model airplanes to the Eloy.
Who did that, Max?
Thank you for the
It was a
recognition.
group effort.
Wait a minute. You're the one that asked if the astronaut was wearing his helmet.
You're the one that started out with the stupid questions.
You see, don't tell me we don't have a good time here. Captain Tangent strikes again. Oh, I got to make another song. Captain Tangent strikes again.
Donald Doheny says both were Bibles.
Ah! Well,
He's not
be
wrong.
fruitful and
No,
multiply.
he's not.
Well, think about it. Be fruitful and multiply, and here's how. Okay,
Yeah, here's how to do that.
back to painting models.
No, that's boring.
I know. I'm just trying to act like I'm trying to stay on track.
I guarantee you, but everybody's
try?
going, no, not back to the car. No, leave the colors alone.
Science is BS guessing. Science is BS guessing. No one knows how Earth or the who built the pyramids, etc. Okay, that makes a lot of assumptions there. First off, there, Buckaroo, you don't know that I wasn't there when the pyramids were built. I might be one of the overlords. I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying you don't know that I'm not.
It was Elon. He traveled back in time with a Tesla and built the pyramids.
You're not supposed to know that.
Uh-oh.
Well, great. Now you're on the list.
I'm on a lot of lists.
Yeah, I remember you still have an arrest record from what, 68?
71.
I told you the 70s sucked. Yeah, the only good things that come out of the 1970s was Blazing Saddles and ABBA.
I was in the Do Not Enter into Canada list.
He was.
Oh yeah.
Oh
that's
yeah,
right.
he got good. The Mounties mounted him.
Yeah.
Okay,
But we straightened
I
that
did
out.
not mean for that to sound like that. Yes, I did. Who am I kidding?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that went sideways real bad.
You see, there's your Ryan Reynolds joke. He should do something about why they call them Mounties. That would be great for Deadpool. Hey Ryan, Regina. You didn't see the Deadpool and Wolverine the beginning. Get the name of my country out of your mouth. Never mind. He's from Regina, so he makes a bunch of jokes about Canada and Regina, and so. God, what were we here to talk about? Painting models, mixing
Painting
paints.
models and making different colors that we couldn't buy.
I swear to God,
Yeah.
I create this live stream just to make an excuse to drink and make jokes. It's just, I don't want to
We-
talk
we
about it.
figured that out a
We'll
long
claim
time
we're going to
ago.
talk about
Okay.
this. And
Well, I will admit, sort of on the subject, when it comes to doing things in color on detail, markers are a big plus.
Artello, if I, by some disaster, did lose an arm and had to stop, I would absolutely put a shotgun on there. I never cared for the M16 and Grindhouse on the leg. I'm like, I'm sorry. I realize it's Tarantino and all that implies, and it was cool on camera, but I'm sorry. I mean, it made John Wick look realistic.
Well, it worked for Bruce Campbell.
But he had it on his arm.
Well,
Different appendage. Much better for shooting with.
Are you talking about the
Boomstick.
the chainsaw that was on his arm?
No, the
Stranger Things?
the shotgun. Also the in Grindhouse, the girl had the M16 on her, the car 4 on her
M16
leg.
on her leg.
Normally girls with guns. Oh, I caught myself before I said that. Let's just say that I find ladies who are sufficiently and adequately armed to defend themselves attractive by nature, but that one didn't do anything for me. And Ken just went, oh man, they terminated Ken. They killed Kenny! Okay, we'll just put him small until he's back here. Back. Oh, he's back. Okay, I'll bring him back. Hold on. Add pin. There we go. You're back, Ken. And you're gone,
He's
Ken.
gone.
Jeez. He's going in and out like border radio.
Must be dinner time.
It's dinner time, and I figured y'all didn't want to watch me eat.
Okay, we got the camera off. That's fine. Well, then I'll make you. You can still talk to us. Just don't let us hear you masticating.
Why? I thought
Because there's something about that sound.
Never mind. I was going to say something really stupid, but it wasn't.
Go there again. Don't come.
Hold on. Government's going to sell 100,000 M14s with popcorn stars and stripes yesterday. Yeah, if
Oh
only
God,
they were
where? I'm going to be
M14s.
online tomorrow.
I've got an M1A, the semi-automatic. You do not want a full auto M14. That's a rifle that's best left on semi. Trust me, I've got one. I know. You put it on fully auto, you're going to send one at the target and 3 above it. Speaking of painting airplanes, I personally believe that the easiest model airplanes to paint are Japanese World War II aircraft. And here's why. Basically, the Japanese painted everything one of 3 colors. Either basically Japanese olive, they had Japanese answer, Japanese green, or that very, very pale gray green that people think is gray. It's actually called Imperial Navy Japanese green, but it looks gray. It's very pale. And a few other airplanes are painted yellow. Okay, but that's really all you need. People talk about camouflage patterns on them, and a few of them were camouflage, but basically they were blotching green paint over aluminum. Now, the one thing you do need to make a late war Japanese aircraft, you need to paint the whole airplane aluminum and then put your green paint over it, because the stuff flaked off all the time because we bombed the factory that made the primer. So that's why you see so many late war Japanese airplanes with 40, 50, 60% of their paint missing. They usually had a gray underbelly. It's just about as straightforward as you can get. The British camouflage most of it, either desert camo or European camo. They basically had 2 patterns, brown and green and gray and green. They're not hard to do. American aircraft get a little dodgier because we had a few colorful paint schemes, but basically we only had about a half dozen schemes. But you get into the German aircraft, and it is a kaleidoscope of colors. And some of them are really weird colors too. I would say and also the Germans had a fascination with that wriggle pattern on their airplanes. And getting an airbrush that can paint that small enough without overspray. I mean, some people get down to that tiny little thing. I suppose if you had the patience, you could cut a stencil, but they always use spray guns, so you want a feathered edge. And I agree with Fran. Brush painting this stuff's a lot easier. I've been brush painting these tanks. I brush painted that little German half-track skid fitted. I'm finding brush painting very relaxing. Airbrush, just getting the gun to work half the time. Oh, by the way, I've developed a little trick. When I am done with my airbrush, I'm done cleaning it, I take the needle out of it, make sure it's wiped clean, and I have a little holder for it. Because I have found half the time the problem is when you go back, no matter how well you think you cleaned the gun, the needle's stuck in there. And then when I go back, I give it a cleaning before I put the thing back in. And I still have trouble getting my airbrushes to work. And I've got all the cleaning tools and everything. Of course, I think everybody has trouble getting their airbrushes to work. And acrylics, because they dry so quick, seem to be worse about gumming the thing up. Although, if you get an enamel dried in there, you got a real job on your hands to get that crap out. But I see these guys like Plasmo doing these little squiggle patterns on there, and they clearly got practice in a trained hand. And I've tried to do it a few times, but I think next time I do it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it on with a pencil and then go over it with the airbrush. I did it one time at a Hankel 111. It was painted at white. I still have it, actually. An old Lindbergh kit. And I figured a Lindbergh kit's a good one to practice on. So I paint the whole airplane white, and I put the little black squiggle pattern on, but I put it on with a marker, and it worked really well. I mean, yeah, it didn't have the feathered edge, but it was 1/72nd scale. But it was really easy to go on. I'm thinking, so next time I take a fine line marker, put the squiggle pattern on there, and then I can go over with a fine airbrush, because you've seen how complex those Luftwaffe squiggle patterns are. and you try to freehand that, sooner or later you're going to get it out of place. It's going to mess up the whole look of the thing. Because despite as complex as they are, they have a certain dimension, I guess you'd say dimensionality to them. You know, they curve every so often and they only go so far, and it's real easy to get out of place. I mean, the Germans, they hated everybody, including model builders. We will do this for my uploads for 60 years from now. We will try the it's crazy. Yeah. You know, did I say that out loud? But the Russians had a few like that too. But generally speaking, the Russian airplanes are pretty easy to paint. But the thing is, those paint schemes.
Do that again, please.
But those paint schemes look so wicked cool when they're done. What I hate is you go through all that, you get this beautiful squiggle pattern on there. Then you lay down your decals, or decal. God, now I'm saying decals. Clearly, I've been watching too many English channels. You lay down your decals, and the squiggle pattern showing through the white part of the decal. And you're like, Gah! So that's why I'm glad a lot of them come with those gray backings. But I'm like, yeah, before you lay your decal down, you may want to, you know, mark that off and put a little paint behind, a little primer or something behind it so the decals don't have the squiggle pattern showing through it. In fact, you're probably better off to put the squiggle pattern on top of it because I'm sure they airbrush that on afterwards. But the easiest thing on earth to paint's a modern American jet. Haze gray, baby. You know, air superiority gray. Some of them have that two-tone, but, you know. I'm going to say something that is completely stupid here because that's what I do. But
Why stop now?
yeah, exactly. The one thing that the U.S. Air Force, the American military used to have going for it up until the post-Vietnam era was we had some pretty impressive paint jobs. The Navy was kind of like these loud colors, you know, Japanese sunburst flag, Hinamaru tails, or solid black with big yellow stress squadron markings on them. They're like, we're the U.S. Navy. Here we are come up to, hey, warriors, come up to play. And of course, the Air Force had that wicked cool Southeast Asia camo pattern. And I can tell you that pattern works because they got Joe Kittinger's F4, well, a replica of Joe Kittinger's F4 up on a stick at Orlando Executive. And I would fly into Orlando and always look down for it. And I knew exactly where it was at by Orlando Executive Airport, by that little park. And I would have trouble seeing it, even though I knew I was looking right at it, because that camo pattern worked. So, but it looked cool. Now everything's just this light gray. And I'm kind of like, look, we've got absolute air dominance. No one can touch us. Let's go back to some loud, noisy, in your face. I want to see F-15s with shark's teeth and big, you know, bright yellow tails and, you know, come up and red, white, and blue paint schemes on them. Come up and play. And because we're the United States Air Force and we fear nobody. If they were still made out of shiny aluminum, I'd say buff them out till they glisten in the sun. Like the old F-100s, man. You see those things all polished up? One way of saying, we're the United States Air Force, and we ain't scared of you. Just read a couple of comments. Yeah,
They're all commenting on how decal should be pronounced.
Well, those under the crown say decals, and most of the rest of us say decals, and I honestly don't know what the proper pronunciation is. My guess is they're both right. It's like Caribbean or Caribbean. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. You say potato, I say French fries. Yeah, most of those under the crown say decal, and maybe, yeah, who knows. But there's no wrong way to pronounce decal. But one of the problems I've got also with this.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, let me hear it.
What?
You say, yes, there is. Yeah, okay. Make your point.
There's a wrong way of saying things. Yes, I agree. The wrong way.
Depends on where you are.
It depends on where you are and who you're talking to.
I've heard of Mountbatten Pink. Yeah, they said at dusk and dawn the ships were invisible. The rest of the day they were pretty easy targets. I've always said decal. Decal? Okay, I've always said decal, but I got that from someone else, I'm sure. Emphasis on the second. You know, if you really want to keep a tactical scheme on aircraft, then fine, put a camo scheme on like the good old days. You're out in the desert, put a nice beige and brown camo scheme like the old Spitfires and P-40s. And if you're over Europe, you know, go back to the gray and olive drab, you know, feathered edges. You know, give the airplane some style. I mean, the F-111s, I guess, were kind of held on to that paint scheme for a long time because they had a low altitude mission. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're in the Air Training Command, your airplane needs to be blazing hunter orange. The whole thing. None of this red tail and aileron stuff. I want the whole airplane blaze orange. Growing up as a kid, I saw UH-1, and I want to paint one this way. Fort Rucker did a lot of training. And you knew the helicopters out of Fort Rucker because it had the big orange doors and the orange panel on the nose. And I tried to find a picture of one. I was like, what was the standard paint scheme? There wasn't one. Every one of these training aircraft, Machat's Law, every one of these choppers, then they almost always had an orange door on them. But other than that, they were painted all kinds of orange on the tail. Some yes, some on the nose, some on the, it was all over the place. And I guess it's whatever a drunken crew chief decided to paint. And you know what? Finding that proper shade of orange is actually kind of hard. I have no idea how to mix orange. I mean, you can buy orange, but what if you want it brighter or darker? You know, what color do you use to make orange more orange?
Put more red in it? I don't know.
I don't know either. Had a nice boob in the scheme. Aluminium or aluminum? Man, don't even get me started on that one. We're Americans, we say aluminum, but the Brits say it as they say. We say it the right way, aluminium, and they may be right. Okay, hold on. You know what? Let's go to the knower of all things.
What were those people? The Emma Peel. What was that called?
The Avengers.
The Avengers. I remember watching one of their shows, and they were talking about aluminium, and I thought, what is this? Some new element?
Well, there's no extra I. It's spelled ALUMINUM, so it'd be aluminum. But let's see. Let's see what the great knower of all things has to say about it. Paste. And I'm going to put pronunciation. Oh, they literally got British and English. Okay, here we go. Okay, say it. Sounds like aluminum. That is what the Google AI says it's supposed to be sound like.
How to pronounce this word, as well as how to say more interesting and related words, both in British English and in American English, as the two pronunciations are different. In American English, this would be said as aluminum, aluminum. In British English, it would be pronounced as aluminum, aluminum.
Aluminum, even in English. Aluminum and aluminum. It's just a different inflection. There is no aluminium. So aluminium is like archerite. It just doesn't exist. I have ruled. So it shall be said, so it shall be done.
What's archerite?
Ken, you're going to pull your nerd card. Enterprise, when Archer's trying to scare the people away on something like the Corbomite maneuver, is built with archerite.
Oh, okay. I guess I missed that episode.
Take care, Sligo. Sligo has to take a shower. Thank God we don't have smell-o-vision. We don't have to know. All righty. Well, I think we beat that into the ground. So I am going to do the one thing that everybody dreads most. And I'm going to say at this point, the official live stream is over, like that really means anything. And we can now talk about anything and everything.
Were you going to take your shirt off?
Ken, I said it's the part they fear, not the part that causes governments to fail. Good Lord, I'm not trying to bring Godzilla back from the dead. That's Hiroshi's job. Anyway, whatever you were listening to, Max, it's crap. It was just something on Google. Of course, the guy sounded French, so maybe he's just doing it to screw with the Brits. Yeah, so anyway. Right. So, who wants to talk about what? Not a Max table dance. First off, I have mercy on tables, so no table dance.
Very few tables would survive a Max table dance.
American versus Italian. What is gravy? Well, in America, gravy is basically everything that's bad for you poured into a brown goo that tastes wonderful and goes great on mashed potatoes.
I'm sorry. Italians, people who call tomato sauce gravy are wrong. It's sauce. Gravy is brown. It goes on meat. I'm sorry.
You know what? You're the
don't-
Italian around here, so what do you say? Okay.
Oh boy.
Hey, Steve's a resident Italian. If he says that that's what it is, then that's what it is. So wait, were you saying the Italians call spaghetti sauce gravy?
Yeah,
Not that
some
I ever
do.
heard of.
Some do. They call it gravy, and you're like, no, it's sauce.
Yeah, gravy is just a goo. Sauce has like meats in it and stuff, and all kinds of wonderfulness. Don't get me wrong. I love me some spaghetti sauce.
Gravy can be white.
Yeah,
okay?
that's right. Yeah, it can be.
Yeah, that's true. It can. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
my wife makes a outstanding carbonara, which has the white sauce on
Right.
it, and it's sauce, but I
It's
can
sauce.
see why somebody might call that gravy, but I really consider it a sauce also. Okay, sauciers in ancient France, going back to the 16th, 17th century.
No, Eric, ketchup is not spaghetti sauce unless you're in the witness protection program.
Yeah, Goodfellas. I ordered Italian with spaghetti sauce. I got noodles with ketchup. What other movie did he talk about? This isn't spaghetti sauce. This is ketchup. It was a miniseries.
I think.
Give you a hint. Garnier.
Garnier.
Hey,
Not
Sobel's not so bad. He gave us spaghetti. He gave us spaghetti and spaghetti sauce. This is a spaghetti sauce. This is noodles with ketchup.
Yeah.
The Band of Brothers. There's one thing I know from my time in New York, and it's kind of a cliche, but I think it holds water. Especially back in the 40s. Not so much now when I was there. But when an Italian or a Jew or a Greek or a Pole or a Hungarian in New York talked about this is where you get the good local food, they were probably spot on. Because they had a lot of them that were off the boat or one generation away from off the boat. And New York was a real melting pot. You actually had a lot of very authentic foods there. And Steve, you probably remember some of this.
yes.
Nowadays, really not so much. Although, I have to admit, when I was in Little Korea, up there, was that Little Korea that's over by LaGuardia? Or is that Little Chinatown?
It's Korea.
I mean, half the people didn't, they were literally off the boat. Koreans, the Korean food and the Chinese food, you got that stuff. I know they're using local ingredients, but they clearly knew what they were doing. That was stuff that was not made for the American palate. And, but unfortunately, I think a lot of the Italian and French and European influence had sort of Americanized. But, you want to but you can still get your butt kicked in a restaurant in New York by saying, yeah, Chef 4AD is Italian food. Everybody will whip your ass.
Yeah. Yeah. No. You'll be in the next Goodfellas.
That's like calling Taco Bell real Mexican food.
Yeah.
And I am very blessed. My wife's an immigrant and she makes very authentic Venezuelan food. And I was like, good God, this is good.
Why would you ever want to be near LaGuardia? Yeah.
Because the company was paying for the hotel and that's what we were flying out of.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, if you guys find yourselves in New York City, especially if you're near Times Square, look up the Red Caboose. It is a model train store. It's a hobby shop in the traditional form. Now they're called the Red Caboose because they have a ton of model train stuff there. I mean, that's probably 60% of their inventory. But they got a lot of inventory, and that other 40% is wicked awesome for models of everything. That's where I got my Thor. He actually had it was my Thor or my that's where I got my Vanguard model from. It was the repop of the Adams kit.
That place has been there since I was a kid. I used to go there as a kid.
I love that place. And was it Walter? Is that the name of the guy that runs it? He's a great guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I tried to get there every time I could, and I would put up with all the nonsense in Times Square to get over there from the hotel. We stayed downtown. That was that is a jewel. And the nice thing is he's down underground. You got to go downstairs. That's the thing. It's a little hard to find because there's no storefront upstairs. There's just a little sign dangling. There's a Red Caboose with an arrow pointing down. And you like, God slasher films begin this way. But then, you know, you see all the models on display on your way down. And it's one of those places, Ken, it's like that place we went to in Alaska the first time I was up there with you. You know, when, you know, that little shop we went to, they moved to another place. You know, we had to go sideways to see everything. And
yeah, it was every square inch was crammed with something. It was great.
That's how the hobby stores in Hong Kong used to be in the 80s.
Hold on, I'm getting confused. Ken, have I been up to see you in Alaska twice?
No, you only came up once.
But that's not when we went. That's not when we went to that place though. So how did I go to that place the first time? Maybe we did go there. I guess we did. Okay, we must have.
Yeah, we went to the hobby shop in Anchorage.
The one where you had to go like sideways down the aisle.
Well, you did.
Okay, I got to own that one. He ain't wrong.
You found some interesting things there too.
But you say he's since moved to a bigger place.
Yes, that's what they said when I called them up.
Yeah, that's a trip.
That's
a trip when we went to Seward. We drove when we went to. They had the road with the railroad track with the railroad thing, but there was no railroad because it's like if the snow closes the Moose Pass or whatever it was. They had the roadblocks.
No, there's no hobby shop in Moose Pass.
No. It was the same trip. Dear God, I'm turning into an old man.
I think I picked you up from the airport, and I think I took you over there right after I got you.
Okay. Ken, my brain is having trouble organizing the timeline, and I was thinking those were two separate trips, but you and I have only gone up to Alaska one time. You were staying at that lady's rented place downstairs. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What year was that?
2006.
Dude, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
You guys talk to each other. I'm going to go have a cry.
Yes, it's been 20 years since I've been in Alaska. I got to go twice, but you didn't come up the second time.
Where
I was just up there. I was just up there for a week the second time.
I went to Alaska recently, for the cruise, and it's got my. And you were in Anchorage.
Yes.
And when I was in the Army, we went up to Fairbanks. We flew into Isles or Wainwright. Second time I was, and the third time was. For some reason in my head, I was splitting those into two separate, unrelated things. I don't know why. Anyway, that was an awesome shop. Red Caboose is like that. You go down the aisles, to make room because New York square footage is so expensive. Ken, did you rattle Max's mind flying the simulator tonight? Sounds like it. Oh, trust me, Bill, it doesn't take Ken flying the sim to rattle this old brain. I'm actually shaking my head, and I keep hearing an echo in the background. I realize it's just the parts getting loose.
Oh, that sim was so much fun. That's one of those things that you in your life, you point back to, and it's clear as bell for the rest of your life. That
I
was
had
just so cool.
PTSD, post-traumatic stimulator disorder. No, guys,
You know what was
listen.
really fun was watching you do that instrument approach.
Well, if I had realized that the command bars were coupled to the heading, not to the CD, to the localizer, I'd have been paying more attention to the CDI needle. I couldn't figure out what was deflecting. And you know, they've had planes crash because the sources were wrong and the crew weren't communicating. Now I realize they throw you in there and just go. You know, there's not much time for a briefing because you're paying a lot of money and they got to get you near. Now there is, and obviously, and the second one went fine because I understood what I was doing at that time.
Yeah. Once we stopped and he showed you where the airport was, you figured it out. You know, oh, I need to follow
I'm like,
that
why
for
is
that
this?
and
I'm
that
like,
for that.
oh, wait. And then it kind of clicked. This thing's not follow. Because normally what you would do is couple the command bars to the ILS. So you would just stay tucked in the command bars. It would take you down the ILS. That's what I was trying to do. I couldn't understand whether, and I wasn't even watching the CDI needle. So anyway,
Yeah, he kept giving me course adjustments trying to get you on
yeah,
the glide path.
we just got us like, and as you get in, you know, it's like a cone. It gets tight towards the end. You can't be doing, you know, you can't keep up in real time. I was
you
about
put
to
it down
slam
and
the
the
throttle
instructor
forward
said,
and call for a
that was
go around.
survivable.
But guys,
Remember
listen.
that?
Oh yeah, and I managed to land it. It was ugly, but I landed it. But guys, listen, that simulator is available for rent at the Delta Airlines Museum in Atlanta, Georgia, just on the north side of the airport at the Delta campus. You can go online and see about it. If you've ever want to do something like that, I highly recommend it. And Rudy, the guy that was running, I didn't realize he was 85 years old. I thought he was maybe 70.
Yeah, he did not look old. He did not look that old at all.
But anyway, you can go watch the video I posted about it to see. I couldn't. I was too busy doing pilot stuff to film the takeoffs and the landings. Next time, just mount a camera and let it run. But
Next time,
guys, it's a bucket list item. If you've ever been interested in flying, that's a great opportunity, and it'll give you a newfound respect for what the guys up in the cockpit do.
the guy that went after us after he came out,
He actually did pretty good. He did pretty good.
Yeah, he did fairly good. We watched some of his flying. It wasn't too bad.
And the instructor is going to talk you through it.
He said the hardest part was steering the thing on the ground.
It is. The taxiing is the hardest part. Gentle movements. It's very, and you got to use a lot of thrust to get it to roll, but then you back off because once it gets moving, it doesn't take much and it'll speed up on you. And
I had that part right.
I've actually, on more than one occasion, especially in Florida, nothing uncommon about overheating the brakes of the taxi. They don't want you to deploy the thrust reversers, okay, which we used to do in the CRJs all the time because they're way back on the tail. But an airliner, especially on a hot day, will get rolling. It will overheat the brakes on the taxi. Hell, they lost a DC-8 in Saudi Arabia, a Canadian airline, or one of the Canadian. It was a Canadian charter outfit. They lost a DC-8 in Saudi Arabia because the brakes overheated. Now, this was before there were brake temp. In fact, that's why there are brake temperature gauges now. They didn't know that the brakes were overheating. I mean, it's 140 degrees or whatever, 40 Celsius, 50 Celsius. It was super hot. They're heavily loaded. They're taxiing out, and they're having to use the brakes. And, of course, they're getting super hot. So they take off, and the brakes actually got superheated. And when they retracted the landing gear, with no place for the heat to go, it caught the tires on fire in the wells. The crew had no idea what was happening. Their first indication was a problem was the parking brake lever just went like that because it had burned through the cable. And they're like, what was that? And somebody because you got to remember this is like the 60s. There were no brake temperature, all of this stuff. The baggage hold fire alarms, the baggage hold fire suppression systems, the brake overheat warnings, all of this stuff came by as tombstone technology. The old airplanes didn't have any warnings. And the guys actually had a raging fire up in the wheel wells that was cooking the airplane. So they made an emergency return to the field, and they were on final approach, had the gear back down, were on final approach when the airplane finally just caught it. The flames burned their controls away and just went into the ground just a couple of miles short of the runway. It's tragic as it can be. And, oh, God, as an airline pilot or anybody, it's hard to watch the video on that. I like Mayday and Air Disaster, and AOPA's Air Safety Foundation has these great little 15-minute videos profiling accidents. They reenact them. And as a pilot, I can see guys, I'm like, no, dude, get out of the weather, turn around or go land, and some of the guys are trying to do just that. And you're like rooting for them and they don't make it. God, it's heart wrenching. And you're like, that
we
could
were
be
in the
me,
simulator and we were flying to Birmingham. The instructor came out and told us what the weather was like. And you said, can we turn around?
Yeah, I'd like to divert back to Orlando. You didn't see it because you were in the middle of battle. But Rudy said, yeah, they got a buddy tapping. Look at it. And I was like, I looked over and yeah, I've got it on camera. And he put a thunderstorm right in front of us. That's why he got all that moderate chop. Which, trust me, Ken, in the airplane, it gets a lot worse. They did not have
we were
that
just
simulator.
mild turbulence.
But you saw how even mild turbulence kicked the airplane off of course and altitude. You were constantly having to fight it. And you're having to break your lifetime of training because he's telling you to use the pedals, not the ailerons. So that's very counterintuitive, especially for me, because I just got done flying something where it's all aileron. You don't use the pedals. The Airbus is the complete opposite. Boeings and Airbuses, the only thing they have in common is they look alike and they're jet airliners.
They're airplanes, yes.
Yeah, they're airplanes. Like I was telling Ken, in that 737-200, that is an old school round dial steam gauge airplane. And you as the pilot are the high lord and commissioner. You determine what it does. You bend it to your will. The Airbus, you're a voting member of the council. Do this. Well, let's see. Can we allow that? Well, you're within parameters. Sure. The Airbus was made for a 500-hour pilot in Africa to be able to fly safely. And it is. It's funny. I was told a long time ago, Max, as a pilot, you're going to learn something. The harder you work, the less you make. And I'm like, it's true. The hardest work I ever did was FO on a 1900, and I made $250 a week. No autopilot. I was the captain's tool. If you remember, if you've seen Predator Badlands, you are tool. When he grabs what's left of the girl, you are tool. That's what you are. You're the captain's tool. You do whatever he needs, and you're hand flying, and you're bouncing through weather, and you got to keep your bearings. You got to navigate and everything else. And I was making $250 a week.
One thing I was really impressed when we first got into the simulator, and you were setting things up over there. You knew where all this stuff was. You knew what it was supposed to do. I thought it was really cool.
Even in a Boeing, I know where certain things are. Yeah, I mean, you just know things that have to be done as pre-flight. Ken, I just realized something. I said I made $250 a week. I actually took home $248, which is $2 less than I made on unemployment. I made.
Yeah, but you got air miles.
Yeah, no, you didn't. I made less per week as a first officer on the 1900 than I made in 1 hour as a bus captain. By a not insignificant margin.
A lot bigger airplane, too.
True, but Ken, $248 a week, way more than that per hour. I mean, and the Airbus, it was like, did you watch the video I did on our little trip?
I haven't had a chance to do that. I was out all day.
You guys say
today.
there's no inflation.
I make a comment that it's not an Airbus, and I had AI create a little cartoon of guys sipping tea as the plane auto lands. And I'm like, that's life in the Airbus. Don't get me wrong, the Airbus had its own form of work, and it took some getting used to, and I had a learning curve. I'm glad I went FO on it before I went captain. Jesus, it was such a learning, because the 190 flew like a Cessna. I mean, the Embraer 190 that I spent 17 years on, it just flew like an airplane. I mean, I might as well have flown a Navajo. That is the most. I don't want to use the word pilot friendly. It's the most normal flying airplane. It just flies like a big, hairy, Aztec. And but the and at Boeing, of course, you're making these big movements with the yoke. The Airbus is.
Yeah, you had a hard time getting used to that.
I did. It took a while. I kept over control because you're like, it's easy to go point to point on that thing because the airplane's going to fix it for you. It's only going to allow you so much roll rate, Whereas
Yeah,
in
but-
that 7.2, the
that's-
harder you throw that yoke, the harder it goes over. Yeah.
Yeah, but that sim, you really had to get into the rudder pedals to get it to come over.
That was
sometimes.
something I just was not used to. Was and I've flown aircraft where the rudders were predominant, so I can't say. But in 20 years, I've never flown anything like that. And even in the 190, you really don't use the rudders much. It's mostly the rams, But Ken, it would take a couple hours in the sim. You get used to it. All these things it takes about 4 hours to adjust, and so usually by the second or third sim, you've got it down pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool that he especially what you said, that just in that 1 hour, I got good enough that I could probably qualify on the airplane.
Yeah, if you went through the full course, and if you had the certificates and were instrument qualified and went through the course, I'm sure you'd have no trouble getting through. Well, when they start doing the V1 cuts, you start entering a new world. That's when you learn just how far that rudder pedal will go.
And we learned what real V1 and V2 means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not what they teach in the schoolhouse.
Nope.
And a light aircraft V1, they call it blue line. And blue line is the speed. You never rotate the nose wheel before blue line, because blue line is minimum controllable airspeed, which basically means if you choke a motor at that point, you bury the rudder, you can keep the greasy side down. Below that, the prop torque of the turning engine is in charge. And trust me, a lot of airplanes have gone on their back, especially high performance light twins, by the guys yanking it off, coughing a motor and rolling it, because they just basically it's equivalent of a torque roll. Especially with the critical engine gives. That's which is nice. Why counter rotating props are nice. You don't have a critical engine. Except the P-38, they rotated outward, so they were both critical engines. Puts the center line of thrust outside of the engine, which means you need more rudder to hold the nose straight.
Right. Well, they did that to make the airplane more stable for shooting.
The nightmare of that is to take off on a crappy low vis day, like a 0-0 take, like a 3. You got to have at least like 600 or 300 feet to make the takeoff. You go run down the runway, and all you're seeing is one stripe on the runway in front of you. And this is the way they do it in the sim, which is why we had the HUDs in the 190. But you're going tick, 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 and all you see is one runway stripe ahead of you going into the airplane. That's how you keep it straight. You actually had a little guidance cue on the HUD. And then right when you start to pull the yoke back, they'll fail an engine on you. Okay? And you got to bury the rudder, center the needle, and you just get so freaking zen with that thing. That little cue is the center of your universe. And you just pull it up into the command bars, bury that rudder, keep that thing square, keep the slip skid indicator centered, and honk back, and just get it going. As soon as pause rate, gear up. And when the gear goes up, you lose a little extra stability because they're working as a stabilizer. They get up, the plane gets real slick then. And you're just pumping that down pedal to keep and then you reach over and by braille, you grab the rudder trim while focusing on that thing and just roll that rudder trim in. And as it comes in, you start releasing the pressure until it all neutralizes, bumping the thumb trim until it all neutralizes. And you go autopilot on, click, and it takes over. And in that little area there, you have your sphincter has pyramided the seat cushion.
And yes, kids, tune in next week for another episode of Sky King and his famous problems.
You've got to say, Sky King! And every airline pilot, captain or first officer, you have seen walking through the terminal in their fancy suit with their little roll bag has done that and has gotten through that crucible. This is one of the reasons that airline pilots tend to be courteous to each other. They all know, they've all been through that. It's just the same reason that Marines, or veterans, are always social to old vets from the Marine Corps, from their service. They've all shared some sort of crucible, whatever that thing is. Cops, firemen, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines. They've all, I know what life on a ship was like, or I know what life on a sub was like.
I even said that when I was flying the plane. I said, my universe has become these two little lines.
It has. That's exactly right. It has.
Yeah.
You can't make that comment while flying.
And that sim moved so
I
realistically
think
too.
if Gavin, I think if every guy did hop, I think it would be great for every Delta new hire to hop in that sim for an hour, just to see this is what we did in the old days. Okay, so
Yep. You'd be humbled real quick and learn so much about what it takes to fly an airplane. It's not just, some people have been very critical of pilots saying, oh, they're just chauffeurs. Chauffeur with your life in
on
your
a good
hands.
day, that's right. On a good day, when everything's
good
working and the weather's nice.
Yeah. On a good day, yeah, it's just procedures, pushing buttons and stuff like that. But when the weather goes to crap, yeah, you want that guy up there who knows what he's doing with all those thousands of miles and hours and years of experience, bringing you and that plane back down to the ground in one piece.
Yeah, pilots earn their money when the weather goes down or problems happen. Fran, that's a great idea. Have everybody out here who's got an open hobby shop that they go to send some pictures and some information on it. We could talk about that, and that make a pretty good live stream. Like Fran's got Colonial Hobby and Photo, and I've got Hurricane Hobbies. If you live in New York, you've still got Red Caboose. Steve, you've got, what is that, Star? Is that the name of it?
No, that's in Annapolis. We have Hobby Stop and we have Simpsons up in Wilmington.
Okay. Now, if you move to this other place you're talking about, there's a hobby shop there, though.
Nope.
Oh, that hobby shop you toured wasn't in that town or near it?
Mm-hmm. No, that was in North Carolina, that one.
Oh, that's right. You're looking at moving someplace. You were looking at North Carolina, but it fell through.
Okay. So there's not going to be a hobby shop in the town you're moving to?
No.
That's going to be an adjustment.
Well, it hasn't moved there yet.
They have a couple of other stores that would kind of fit the bill. They're not official hobby stores, but they have stuff. So
they'll have supplies and
material.
Speaking of hobby shops, kits. Yeah, you guys keep going. Speaking of hobby shops, somebody sent me something about one of the major distributors, not Stevens. Something. Where was it? You guys keep chatting. I'm going to see if I can find this. Somebody mentioned that there was an announcement that was made that one of the big distributors or something is changing, or producers is changing hands.
Is what? Moving?
It's changing hands.
Oh. I haven't heard that.
I can find that real quick.
Let's see.
Mayor Racing the Roof. Wonder if you were doing that for Seaplane Month. Oh no, we've already done the Seaplane thing. Okay, that wasn't. Let's see. I'll look here real quick. Sorry, guys. Takes a little time. I try to keep all my email and everything shut down when we do these live streams because the computer starts running into it. Dude, I can only do so much at once. Issues.
No, she has her moments.
Chris says he has a palette of the German paints.
Really hard. She liked that.
Nice B38, Paul. Let's see if I can find this. Yeah, your account. By the way, Steve, did I send you that thing on the 1935 Chevrolet commercial for movie theaters?
No.
I thought I sent it off to 14. Okay, I'm not seeing it. Somebody sent me an email. I might have deleted it about one of the major. I got an email from Tom Daniel, and he's sending me a care package with some stuff in it. So thank you, TD.
There's nothing about any hobby distributor getting purchased or merging.
And Bill got an old Revell P70 Nighthawk, and he said it was from 1975 entry form for win a Cessna 150 with 40 hours of flight instructions. Should I send you the entry form? Hey, if they're going to honor it, I'd give it to somebody. Don't forget, guys, armor bill at the end of the month. Give me your tanks. Let's see here. I might have sent you a thing about could have been a cool Batmobile. By the way, guys, it's going to be $20 a head to get into RetroCon. Just FYI. Well,
Where's that at?
We're all going to RetroCon together, Ken. In Philly.
Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yes, you're traveling across the country to go to RetroCon.
I'm more interested in going to Steamtown.
I know. Ken has got train on the brain.
Yep. One of my friends that is in the model train club that I used to belong to down in Deerfield Beach, they were up in Steamtown a few days ago, and they took this picture of two GE U-25Bs that look brand new. And I said, wow, that must be an old picture. And he said, no, I just took it. They're here. I was like, oh, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Well, I guess I deleted it. Doggone it. Yeah, that should have been a
No,
news
it
item.
was, Fran said it was him who sent an email to you about Stevens closing that he got from the owner of Colonial Photo last week.
No, I got one more recently. I just got it today or yesterday. I might have accidentally deleted it. But one of the not Kiltech, I forget which one it was. One of the companies was changing hands, getting a new owner. And I was telling him, well, it could be a good thing because maybe they want to invest some money in it.
That would be nice.
Oh, well. Anyway, sorry about that. Guys, I'm a one-man operation here, and trust me, I misfile a lot of stuff. Usually trying to clean up my email. And oh, well. I'm sure we'll all find out when the bills come due. So, we've got about 7 minutes left. Has anybody got anything they wanted to ask or wanted to do? Thanks, Ken. I wish the OKs was still running. I'd love to have you both ride the cab. Yeah, we'd love to do that, Phil.
What was
Sorry.
that?
That was KLSC 8510. His last comment. Kenny Space Center mounts a major air show November 5 and 6. Oh, that's interesting. That's Ken. That's only a 2-hour drive for each of us. Could meet down there.
To go where?
He says 5 and 6 of November, Kennedy's KSC is going to have some kind of an air show.
Oh.
So okay, what do you guys got? Eric's putting a lot of great videos. Guys, check out the Rex's Hanger thing if you want to help him out.
Sparky put up another sale video about an hour ago.
Sparky puts one up every 3 hours. That guy's a machine.
See anything you want?
Well, he
I
doesn't
haven't looked at it.
I thought about making him a bulk offer on all his military stuff, just to take it off his hands, see if I could eBay it or something. But then I realized how much work that was going to be, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I got the...
He's retired. He doesn't want to work.
If I wanted to work, I wouldn't have taken the buyout. Of course, I'd be gone next month anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Finally hitting the 6.5, huh?
We got Model Palooza coming up. I don't know if I'm going to go to it, but I might go to Jack. I'm sure I'll go to Jack's Con. I missed Jack's Con last time just because I seriously didn't know what was going on. Somehow I managed not to have it on my calendar. I love going to the cons. Mainly, although I love seeing the builds and making videos, I like to see what the vendors have to offer. Man, sometimes you got guys the last few hours, they're just giving it. Yeah, give me $5 a piece, $10 a piece. You just want to buy the whole thing just to have it. But then you get home and like, now what the heck am I going to do? Trey is building that same Dragon skid fitteds 253 German half track that I was making, and he found out there were 1 or 2 parts missing. He's like, well, $10 at an open box at a convention. So that's the thing, is you never know. The only thing I didn't buy at the Buena Park show, I probably should have bought that PBY Calypso. It's just the box was so torn up, but it looked like the kit was complete. And then I came back and see, and then he wanted $30 for it or $50, something like it. Wasn't necessarily cheap, but I come back and see people are trying to get $100, $200 for it. And really, you can buy any of the late model Catalinas, the PB10s or the PBY 6s or 7s. Basically the same airplane, but it's the decal sheet. But the thing is, I'm like, I bet you those decals are 50 years old. God, I can't believe I'm saying they're 50 years old. I remember seeing the Calypso PBY for sale in my hometown in the 70s. And you look at one and you forget that was 50 years ago. And I keep looking behind me, trying to see where the time went.
Kind of like that Pink Floyd song, bouncing around, something like that, bouncing around in your hometown. Next thing you know, 10 years have got behind you. No one told you when to run.
Kevin Costner did a movie with Clint Eastwood where he plays an escaped convict, and he's got this kid as basically his hostage, but becomes his friend. And they're driving down the road, and he's explaining the car is a time machine. He goes, you look out the windshield, that's the future. You look in the rearview mirror, that's the past. And that works on a couple of levels, you know. And I was like, geez. I don't know. In my head, I'm still a 16-year-old kid, you know, buying kit models and, you know.
I think a lot of us are.
Well, I don't think very many model builders are true adults, and that's a good thing. Because
hey, once a kid in you dies, it's over.
I agree. What Clint Eastwood said, don't let the old man in, you know, and just always stay young up here. But I'm currently working on the M3 Honey, and I need to take. I was working out in the shed today on the F-117. It is not, as we saw earlier, it is not going well. That tester's kit is it's rare that I say this, but unless you really want a 1/32 scale F-117A, I'm going to put that on the no-go list. It's just not a great kit. And I'm sure it'll be okay when I'm done, but it doesn't fit. It's
From 5 feet away, nobody will be able to tell, right? Fit right in with all
hopefully
the
the
other
seams
models.
don't split open on me. But anyway, you know what? If these are your problems, you're doing all right. Okay, guys. Well, it's 9 o'clock. It's that time. So I want to thank everybody who's hung in this long. I know we kind of ended the official live stream early, but you know, we only so much to talk about with paint. And hey, not every episode can be a Harvey Lowe episode or a, you know. Harvey was a great guest, wasn't he? Hmm?
True.
What, Ken? What's that?
It's like watching the paint dry, he said.
Yeah, we're literally watching that paint dry. Oh my God. So anyway, I want to thank everybody coming out. Guys, I'll let you say your goodbyes. We'll let everybody go.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I hope we enjoyed you enjoyed what we were able to offer you today. And we're all hoping that Ken doesn't get boiled by the natives for stew. Good evening. See you next week.
Should I ask what that's all about?
No,
You should look at the picture of what you're in. It looks like you're in a grass hut prison in Africa. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Okay.
We have fun.
Thanks, guys, for joining us this evening. I think I think the people who come out to watch this are a little special, and I don't mean that in a bad way. We have a lot to say, not just about models, but also about life, and we appreciate you here listening and sometimes commenting back. Thanks for coming.
Everyone, thanks for coming. I hope you had a little bit of fun. Take care of yourself as always. And we are planning to be here next week. So take care of yourself and as always, model on.
I bought the little kit with a grin and a dare. Tiny wings, tiny fins, tiny parts in the air. I squint at the sprues like they owe me a clue. The cockpit is a rumor and the decals half glue. I'm showing it to you against my better judgment. I can feel the whole thing leaning toward the punishment. Marginally insane, that's my claim. Plastic humility. got glue on his hands and a spark in his brain. Tiny cars, tiny jets, tiny military planes. From tanks to trains to rockets that soar, he built it up and then built some more. It's Max's models, kids and hobby dreams. Max's models, he'll been big in miniature scenes. Woo! He said, so anyway, the thing is that he's 3 stories deep in high school band. You ask him how his weekend went, he's explaining ancient Roman ceiling fans. One sip of coffee, suddenly we're ranking every kind of cheese. We just wanted movie times, now we're somewhere in the 90s on TV. Captain Tangent, off again, started with the weather, now we're talking about space pens. Captain Tangent, spin that thread. We were on the freeway, now we're in his cousin's shed. He goes left, he goes right. He forgets what started this ride. Captain Tangent, that's our friend. Circle to the middle, never finds the end. You say, can you pass the salt? He's live salt, that's wild. Cause I once knew a guy named Hal. Next thing, it's a road trip tale. Flat tire, first crush, roadside motel. He's drawing diagrams on a napkin just to prove a tiny point. By the time he finally lands, we forgot why we even joined. Captain Tangent, off again. Started with a question, now we're rating every band's best spin. Captain Tangent, spin that thread. We were in the kitchen, now we're somewhere by a surf shed. He goes left, he goes right. He zigzags through his own mind. Captain Tangent, that's our friend. Circle to the middle, never finds the end. But when you're stuck in your same old day, he can talk you miles away. From a text gone wrong to a song to a snack. You forget what hurt, you forget looking